I walked into my home office to find her work husband searching my desk. "She sent me for the files," he said. "I know," I replied, stepping aside. "He's been waiting for you." The man sitting in my chair turned around. The work husband's smirk vanished. His phone clattered to the floor as he whispered, "Sir, what are you doing here?" Reid Koster, Sandpiper Mutual's regional director, swiveled in my office chair like he owned the damned thing. His smile had that receipt printer quality, mechanical and cold. "Mr. Locker," he said, addressing the guy who'd been rifling through my desk drawers. "Your phone, put it down." Tate Locker, all 33 years of gym selfies and hair gel, went pale. The phone kept buzzing on my floor like an angry wasp. "My name is Evan Pike. I'm 36, I drive a 12-year-old Subaru Forester, and I fix computers for a living. Mobile device forensics, incident triage, the occasional security audit for local businesses in Graymarsh, Massachusetts. This coastal town smells like ferry exhaust and disappointment, especially in November when the tourists are gone and the wind cuts through your coat like a collection notice. I'd known something was wrong for weeks, the way Mara, my wife of 8 years, tilted her phone away when I entered rooms, the team-building dinners that ran until 11, the new laughs I didn't recognize, high and performative, when she talked to Tate on speaker in the kitchen. Tate Locker, team lead at Sandpiper Mutual, where Mara worked as a project manager, the guy who called himself her work husband at the company barbecue, grinning like he'd invented the joke. The guy currently frozen in my office, staring at his boss. "I'm ending a liability," Reid said calmly. He adjusted his wire-rimmed glasses. Behind him, my desk looked violated. Drawer pulls gleaming, papers askew. My NFC tag logger, disguised as a desktop organizer, had tracked every drawer he'd opened. The timestamps would be beautiful. "Sir?" Tate stammered. "I don't understand." "You will." Reid's eyes moved to me. "Mr. Pike, thank you for your cooperation." I hadn't cooperated. I'd set a trap. 2 weeks ago, I'd installed motion-activated cameras in my home office, perfectly legal since this was my property. I'd logged every device that connected to my home network. I'd been waiting for exactly this, proof that my wife's affair wasn't just an affair. The phone stopped buzzing, then started again. Mara's name lit up the screen between Tate's feet. Reid stood. "Answer it, Mr. Pike. Speaker, please." I picked up the phone, thumb hovering over the green button. Every instinct screamed at me to throw it, to punch somebody, to do something stupid and satisfying. Instead, I tapped speaker. "Did you get the folder?" Mara's voice filled my office, breezy and bright. Professional, the voice she used for conference calls. "It's not Tate," I said. Silence, then smaller. "Evan? Hello, honey." "What?" Her breath caught. "Why do you have his phone?" "Because he dropped it in our office. Reid's here, too. You remember Reid, right? Your regional director?" The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. Then, "I'm coming home." "No," Reid said, leaning toward the phone. "Ms. Pike, that won't be necessary. We're simply clarifying some documentation issues." "Documentation," I repeated. The word tasted like copper. Mara's voice sharpened. "Evan, don't do anything stupid." "Too late," I said, and hung up. Tate bolted. "While you're here, hit the hype button, don't forget to subscribe and support this channel with a like. And tell us below, have you ever faced something like this?" He was fast. Faster than a guy who smelled like expensive cologne and entitlement should be. He hit my hallway at a sprint, knocking over the coat rack, and slammed through the front door before I could process it. Reid sighed. "Mr. Pike, I'd appreciate if you didn't pursue him." I pursued him. November in Graymarsh feels like the town is trying to shake you off its back. Wind that tastes like salt and diesel, streets slick with that particular coastal dampness that laughs at traction. Tate's dress shoes skidded on my driveway as he ran for his car, a leased Audi that probably cost more than my annual income. I had my keys in my pocket. My Subaru was blocking his driver's side. "Move your car!" Tate yelled, spinning toward me. His face had gone red, veins popping in his forehead like someone had overinflated him. "Can't," I said, walking closer. "Parking brake's sticky. Mechanic says it'll take at least 20 minutes to release." He looked at my Forester, then at me, calculating. Then he ran. Not toward the street, but through the gap between my house and my neighbor's fence, into the alley that connected to the parking deck behind the old drugstore. I knew that alley. I'd grown up here. Tate hadn't. The alley narrowed after 15 feet, pinched by a dumpster and a telephone pole that the town kept meaning to relocate. I heard him curse, heard the metallic bang as he ricocheted off something, and then I was through the gap myself, boots finding purchase on the crumbled asphalt. The parking deck loomed ahead, 3 stories of cracked concrete and seagull droppings. Tate hit the entrance ramp at a sprint, and I followed, my lungs starting to burn. Not from exertion, but from something else. Anger, maybe. Or the realization that I was chasing my wife's lover through a parking garage like some cable TV detective. He made it to the 2nd level before I caught up. His breathing echoed off the concrete pillars, harsh and ragged. A minivan's alarm started wailing as he stumbled past it, triggering the sensor. "Tate," I called, "just talk to me." He spun, backing away, hands up like I was going to tackle him. "This is assault," he panted. "I could call the cops." "Do it," I said. "Tell them you were in my house, in my office, without permission. Tell them about the files you were looking for." His hands dropped. "Evan, listen. It wasn't about your wife." That's a weird thing to say. "Reid." Tate glanced back like the man might materialize behind him. "He wanted your client data, the policyholders you service, small businesses. We've been building a list." "Why?" I asked. "Quotas." Tate leaned against a Honda, defeat collapsing his shoulders. "Sandpiper's regional numbers were down. Reid needed wins. He figured if we could cross-reference your clients, see who didn't have comprehensive coverage, we could swoop in. Targeted outreach. He called it aggressive prospecting. He called it theft. He called it business." Tate's laugh was bitter. "Mara didn't know. Not at first. I needed someone to organize the data. She's good at that. Spreadsheets, follow-ups. We'd meet after work, go through the lists. Reid kept saying it was legitimate competitor research." "And you believed him?" "I wanted the promotion he promised." Tate looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something I didn't expect. Not defiance, fear. "Evan, if you go after Reid, he'll bury you. He keeps records on everyone. Leverage, insurance. He's been doing this for years." "How long?" I asked. "How long with Mara?" Tate flinched. 3 months, but we didn't plan it. We were just working late, and it happened, and I know how that sounds, but it's true. I wanted to hit him. Wanted to drive my fist into that perfectly shaved jaw and watch his teeth scatter on the oil-stained concrete. Instead, I pulled out my phone and took his picture. Flash on. "What are you doing?" Tate straightened. "Insurance," I said. "You understand insurance, right?" I walked away, leaving him in the parking deck. My phone buzzed as I hit the street. Mara. 7 missed calls. I silenced it and texted her instead. "He says it wasn't about you." 3 dots appeared immediately, dancing, then vanished. No response came. Sandpiper Mutual occupied the 3rd floor of the Graymarsh Commerce Center, which sounded impressive until you realized it was above a vape shop and a tax preparation service that only opened during filing season. The elevator smelled like someone's lunch had died in the walls. Reid's assistant, a nervous 20-something with a name tag that said Ashley, met me at reception. "Mr. Pike, Mr. Koster is ready for you." The conference room was aggressively beige, motivational posters about teamwork, a whiteboard with someone's abandoned quarterly projections. Reid sat at the head of the table, 2 file folders in front of him, reading glasses perched on his nose. "Evan," he said, gesturing to a chair. "Thank you for coming. You invited me. I suggested a conversation. You accepted by appearing." He smiled that receipt printer smile. "Let's be efficient. You're upset. Understandable. Your marriage is experiencing stress. Also understandable. But pursuing my employees, making accusations, taking photographs on public property creates exposure." Reid opened one folder, for everyone, including you. Inside were printouts, my website, client testimonials, business registration documents, and underneath, highlighted in yellow, 3 complaints filed with the Better Business Bureau. All recent. All claiming I'd overcharged for services. "Those are fake," I said. "Are they?" Reid removed his glasses. "The BBB doesn't think so. Neither will your clients when they receive courtesy notifications that their service provider is under review. You fabricated complaints. I organized existing concerns." He slid a paper across the table. "This is a non-disclosure agreement. You'll cease all contact with Tate Locker and refrain from discussing any alleged business practices at Sandpiper. In return, these complaints will be withdrawn, and you'll receive $15,000 for your discretion." I looked at the paper, thick bond stock, legal boilerplate, a signature line with my name already typed beneath it. "And Mara?" I asked. "Your marriage is your business. I'm addressing the professional complications." "You're covering your ass." Reid's smile never wavered. "I'm protecting my organization. What you do with that information is your choice, but I'd suggest making the smart one." I stood, walked to the light switch, flipped it off. "Mr. Pike." The conference room plunged into darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in after 3 seconds, dim and red. I was already at the door. "What are you doing?" Reid's voice, sharp now, losing the smooth edges. "Leaving." I hit the hallway. The Commerce Center was undergoing renovations on the 4th floor, scaffolding and plastic sheeting everywhere. The stairwell door was propped open with a paint can. I took the stairs 2 at a time, heard Reid shouting for security, heard footsteps behind me. The 4th floor was a maze of hanging plastic and exposed ductwork. Work lights swayed on extension cords. I ducked under a sheet that snapped like a sail, emerged near the far stairwell, and kept moving. Behind me. "Stop! Security!" I didn't stop. I hit the ground floor exit, the one that dumped into the alley behind the building, and walked to my Subaru, parked 2 blocks away. My visitor badge was still clipped to my shirt. I took a picture of it against the Sandpiper logo on my folder, posted it to the Gray Marsh Community Forum with a caption, "Interesting conversations happening here. Stay tuned." The post got 7 likes before I'd driven a mile. By the time I reached home, it had 43 comments. My phone rang. Val, my sister. "You kicked a hornet's nest," she said instead of hello. "How bad?" "You're trending on the forum. Someone recognized you from the parking deck chase. Someone else posted a video of Mara slapping you at Priya's. And Evan?" "What?" "You should see what's happening at Tate's condo." The next day, I turned villain. Not the movie kind. No monologues, no capes. Just the cold, methodical kind. The kind who understands that in a small town, reputation is currency, and I'd just been handed the mint. I started with the community forum. Anonymous posts, but sourced from public records. Property filings showing Reid's vacation rental income. Board meeting minutes from Sandpiper's last shareholder call, highlighting regional discrepancies in retention bonus payouts. Vendor contracts that seemed oddly favorable to specific suppliers. Nothing fabricated, nothing hacked, just breadcrumbs laid out for people who were already suspicious. The forum caught fire. By noon, it had jumped to Facebook. By evening, a local reporter from the Gray Marsh Gazette was emailing me for comment. I didn't respond. Instead, I went home and redecorated. Mara was at work. I had the house to myself. I gathered every framed photo from the last 3 years, every smiling vacation shot, every anniversary dinner, every picture where Mara looked genuinely happy. I put them all in one room, the guest bedroom, wall to wall, a gallery of lies. Everywhere else, I left blank walls, empty picture hooks, spaces shaped like betrayal. When Mara came home, she walked through the house like a ghost tour. I heard her footsteps stop, heard the guest bedroom door open, heard her make a sound, not quite a sob, caught in her throat. I was in the kitchen when she found me. Why? She stood in the doorway, mascara smudged. So you can see it all at once. Everything that was fake. It wasn't all fake, wasn't it? I turned. Which parts were real, Mara? The vows, the mortgage, the 8 years of waking up next to someone you were apparently bored enough to replace? I never wanted to replace you. You just wanted more. I opened my laptop, showed her the screen. Reid's assistant sent this an hour ago. It was an NDA, thicker than the one Reid had offered me. This one had Mara's name on it, along with a severance package worth 6 months' salary. The subject line, Exit Documentation, Confidential. Her face went white. He's firing me. He's paying you to disappear. There's a difference. But I haven't done anything wrong. You organized the client lists. You scheduled the meetings. You took the notes. In any investigation, you're the administrator who had access. I closed the laptop. You're the perfect fall guy because you look guilty without being important enough to fight back. Mara sat down hard on a kitchen chair. He used me. Yes. Tate used me. Also yes. And now you're using me. I didn't answer. Didn't need to. She saw it in my face, the cold satisfaction, the plan still unfolding. What happened to you? She whispered. You did, I said, and walked out. That night, I couldn't sleep. Storm warnings crawled across my phone screen. Nor'easter incoming, expected landfall tomorrow evening. Gray Marsh would shut down, it always did. Roads flooded, power lines snapped, the whole town hunkered down to ride it out. Perfect timing. I pulled up the saved drafts in my email, anonymous tips, ready to send to Sandpiper's corporate compliance office, evidence packets for the state insurance fraud division, community forum posts with the last pieces of the puzzle, everything true, everything documented, everything devastating. I hovered over the send button. My phone buzzed. Val. Don't do it, she said. Do what? Whatever you're about to do. I know that look. You had it when you were 12 and Bobby Marchant stole your bike. You got it back, but you also got suspended for what you did to his locker. I'm not 12 anymore. No, you're worse. You're organized. Val's voice softened. Evan, I get it. I get being angry. But if you burn everything down, you're standing in the ashes too. Maybe that's okay. It's not. She paused. Mom wouldn't want this. Low blow. Our mother had died when I was 15. Aneurysm. Sudden. The last thing she'd told me was to be better than my anger. I'll think about it, I said. Liar. I hung up. Deleted the email drafts. Not because Val was right, but because I'd realized something better. Reid would come to me. The storm hit Gray Marsh like a fist. Wind rattled windows, rain came horizontal. By noon, Main Street was ankle-deep in seawater, and the town was posting shelter advisories. I spent the morning at Priya's cafe, helping her secure the outdoor furniture and board up the big window. She paid me in coffee and knowing looks. You're planning something, she said, duct taping an X across the glass. Always. It's going to blow up in your face. Probably. You're okay with that? I thought about it. About Mara, packing boxes in what used to be our guest bedroom. About Tate, spiraling in his emptied condo. About Reid, who'd built a career on making other people take the fall. Yeah, I said. I'm okay with it. Before I left, I put a sealed envelope in Priya's back office. Inside, printed invoices from her point-of-sale system, the ones I'd archived during my last maintenance visit. They showed payments from the same vendor who owned the waterfront rental, payments that didn't match any legitimate services. "What's this?" Priya asked. "Insurance. If anyone asks, you found it during storm prep. You were curious. You showed it to a regular customer who works in finance." "Do I want to know?" "No." She taped the envelope to her filing cabinet. "Be careful, Evan." Too late for that. By 4 p.m., the wind was screaming. I was back home when I got the text from an unknown number. "Retrieve the envelope. Now. The vendor will make it worth your time." TL. Tate. Which meant Reid knew. I texted back, "Come get it yourself." The response was immediate. "On my way." I went to my office, pulled up the camera feeds, waited. Tate appeared at Priya's cafe 20 minutes later, fighting the wind, soaked through. The cafe was closed, storm shutters down. He tried the door, locked. He pulled out his phone, made a call. Then he did something stupid. He went around back. I grabbed my keys. The waterfront was chaos. Waves punching the pier, boats straining against moorings, tourist kiosks torn loose and tumbling. Tate was halfway down the pier when I caught up, rain stinging like needles. "Evan!" He turned, eyes wild. "Where's the envelope?" "Why does Reid want it so badly?" "Because it proves the vendor was kicking back to him. The dates, the amounts, they match his rental income exactly." Tate had to shout over the wind. "If that goes to corporate, he's done." "Then maybe it should." Tate rushed me. No technique, just panic. We collided, feet slipping on wet planks. I shoved him back. He grabbed my coat and we spun, dancers in the worst routine. His elbow caught my jaw. My palm hit his chest. Then a sound cut through the storm. Sirens, not coming for us. Heading past toward the Commerce Center. Tate heard it too. He let go. "What did you do?" "Nothing." I pulled out my phone, showed him the Gray Marsh Community Forum. Breaking news post. Sprinkler system triggered at Commerce Center. Sandpiper offices flooded. His face went slack. "The files." "What files, Tate?" "Reid keeps paper copies. The real books. The ones that don't match digital. He said it was old school insurance. That digital could be hacked, but paper was control." Tate was barely breathing. "If those files are soaked..." I started walking toward the Commerce Center. Tate followed, stumbling. The building was mayhem. Fire trucks, maintenance crews, employees hauling plastic bins of soggy documents. Water poured from the third-floor windows like tears. Reid stood in the lobby, screaming at a contractor. Tate froze when he saw him. I kept walking, right up to Reid, phone out, recording. "Mr. Koster," I said, "want to make a statement?" He turned, and his face was a new map of rage. "Get that camera out of my face. Public building, public hallway. First Amendment." "You did this." I was at home. "Storm did this." I smiled. "Acts of God are tough to insure against, aren't they?" Reid lunged. Security grabbed him, but not before he'd knocked my phone to the wet marble. It skittered, still recording, capturing his fury. Tate tried to help him. "Sir, we can recover the files." "You're done," Reid snarled. "Both of you, I will destroy you." "Get in line," I said. That's when Mara appeared, soaked and shaking, from the stairwell. She walked straight to Reid. "I quit," she said, "and I'm talking to corporate tomorrow. You'll be implicating yourself." "I know." She looked at him with something like pity. "But at least I'll be telling the truth." Reid's expression flickered. Just for a second, the mask cracked. Then Tate said the worst possible thing. "This is all Evan's fault," and swung at me. His fist caught my shoulder. Amateur hour. I pivoted, shoved him back, and Tate's dress shoes found the one patch of lobby floor that was still slick with overflow water. He went down hard, arms windmilling, and crashed into a promotional wall display. Cardboard and plexiglass exploded. Security was on him immediately. On both of us, actually, hauling us apart while Reid screamed for someone to call the police. "Everyone stop!" The voice cut through the chaos. Corporate authority. I looked up. A woman in a storm coat, 50s, steel gray hair, carrying a briefcase that looked like it cost more than my car. She showed her ID to security. "I'm Ellen Cortez, Regional Compliance. Everyone stay exactly where you are." Reid's face went carefully blank. "Ms. Cortez, we weren't expecting, obviously." She looked around the lobby, at the water damage, the scattered files, the wreckage of two men who'd been throwing hands 30 seconds ago. "Someone want to explain what happened to my offices?" "Storm damage," Reid said smoothly. "Sprinkler malfunction. We're coordinating with facilities to—" "I've read the forum posts, Mr. Koster." She pulled out a tablet. "I've seen the vendor invoices. I've received 3 separate compliance complaints in the last 48 hours, all pointing to irregularities in your retention bonus program." She looked at Mara. "You're Mara Pike?" Mara nodded, water dripping from her hair. "You're the project manager who organized client correspondence?" "Yes." "Did you know about the financial discrepancies?" "Not until 6 weeks ago." Mara's voice was steady. "When I found out, I confronted Mr. Koster. He told me it was a billing error." "And you believed him?" "I wanted to." Mara looked at Reid. "I wanted to believe I was part of a team, not a cover story." Cortez turned to Tate. "You're the team lead?" Tate said nothing. His shoulder was bleeding from the display case glass. "Mr. Koster," Cortez said, "you're suspended pending investigation, effective immediately. Security will escort you from the building. You can't, I can, and I am. We'll be conducting a full audit of your regional accounts, and if we find what I think we're going to find, we'll be referring this to the State Insurance Fraud Division." She looked at me. "You're the husband?" "Ex-husband, probably." I picked up my phone, miraculously, still recording. "Did you orchestrate this?" "No, ma'am. I just documented it." Cortez almost smiled. "Get out of my building, all of you." We left, separately, scattered into the storm like debris. I drove home through flooded streets, my Subaru pushing through water that reached the wheel wells. The community forum was exploding. Someone had posted photos of Reid being escorted out by security. Someone else had dug up his property records, his vacation rental income, the whole rotten timeline. Graymarsh loved a scandal. This one would last months. When I got home, Mara's car was in the driveway. I found her in the kitchen, making tea like it was a normal evening. "I'm not signing the NDA," she said. "Good. I'm going to testify if they need me. That'll destroy your reputation. My reputation's already gone. Better to own it." She poured 2 cups, slid one to me. "I'm moving out tomorrow. Staying with my mom for a while." "Okay." "I'm sorry, Evan, for all of it. For not seeing what was happening, for thinking Tate was... God, I don't even know what I thought he was." "Someone who saw you." She flinched. "That's generous." "It's true. I stopped looking. You needed to be seen, and I was too busy being reliable." I picked up the tea. "Doesn't excuse what you did, but it explains it." "Are we done?" "Yeah," I said. "We're done." She nodded, drank her tea, left. I sat in the kitchen, listening to the storm tear at the house, and felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction, not relief. Just the hollow space where 8 years used to be. My phone buzzed. Val. "You won," she said. "Did I?" "Reid's suspended. Tate's unemployed. Mara's moving out. You got everything you wanted." "I wanted my wife to not cheat on me. I wanted my business to not be stolen. I wanted to not become the kind of person who sets traps for other human beings." I stood, walked to the window. "I'm not sure I won anything." "Then why do it?" "Because someone had to." I watched a tree branch cartwheel past. And I was the only one angry enough. "You sound like Dad." "Don't." She hung up. I went to my office, to the cameras and logs and files, and started deleting. Not the evidence, that was backed up in 3 places for insurance. But the vindictive stuff, the plans for future humiliation, the ideas I'd had for making sure Tate never worked in insurance again. I deleted it all, not because I'd forgiven anyone, because I was tired. The storm lasted through the night. By morning, Grey Marsh looked like it had been hit by a hammer. Downed lines, flooded basements, boats torn from moorings. The cleanup would take weeks. I spent the day helping Priya clear debris from her cafe. She didn't ask questions, just handed me a broom and pointed at the mess. Around noon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Mr. Pike, this is Ellen Cortez. We met yesterday. I remember. I need your testimony, formally. Will you cooperate with our investigation? I thought about Reid, about the years of people he'd used and discarded, about Mara, who'd believed in a team that was never real, about myself, standing in a cafe with a broom, trying to clean up damage I'd partly caused. Yes, I said. I'll cooperate. Thank you. One more thing. The community forum posts. Were those you? The true ones? Yes. The anonymous account that posted the vendor rental photo? No, I don't know who that was. Silence. Then, someone's watching out for you, Mr. Pike. Or watching you. Either way, be careful. She hung up. I went back to sweeping. Outside, the sun was breaking through clouds, turning the wet street into a mirror. Grey Marsh looked new, scrubbed clean by violence. My phone buzzed one more time. Community alert from the town administrator. Sandpiper Mutual, Regional Director Reid Koster suspended pending investigation. Team lead Tate Locker on administrative leave. Project manager Mara Pike resigned effective immediately to focus on family matters. 3 sentences. 3 lives summarized in bureaucratic passive voice. I screenshot it, saved it. Not for revenge. For the record. Because that's what this had all been about. Not justice, not healing. Just making sure that when the story was told, people knew what had really happened. And in a small town, the story is everything. The second night of the storm was worse than the first. The harbor pier, already battered, started coming apart at the seams. Planks torn loose, railings twisted like pipe cleaners. The town posted emergency alerts. Stay inside. Stay safe. I went to the pier. Reid was already there. He stood at the end, briefcase in hand, staring at the black water like it held answers. The wind tried to tear him off the planks, but he held steady, rain-soaked and furious. I walked toward him. He heard my footsteps, turned. You, he said. Of course it's you. Thought you'd be gone by now. Thought you'd be satisfied. He hefted the briefcase. This is everything. Every file, every transaction, every backup plan. I was going to throw it in, destroy the evidence, start over somewhere else. Why didn't you? Because you'd win. You'd get to tell the story, and I'd be the villain who ran. He laughed, bitter. I've spent 20 years building a career. Climbing, stepping over people when I had to, using them when it was efficient. That's business. That's survival. That's fraud. That's adaptation. Reid stepped closer. You think you're righteous? You're just like me. You used your wife's guilt, Tate's panic, the town's gossip machine. You manipulated everything to get your revenge. The only difference is you convinced yourself you were the victim. I was the victim. You were bored. She was bored. Tate was ambitious. I was opportunistic. We're all just people trying to get through the day without drowning. He held up the briefcase. This is my life. 20 years of strategy, risks, careful moves. You want it? Take it. Turn it in. Be the hero. He threw it at my feet. I looked down at the briefcase, then at Reid, then at the black water churning below us. I don't want it, I said. What? Keep it. Throw it in. Burn it. I don't care. I stepped back. You're already done. Corporate's investigating. The town knows. Your reputation is ash. You don't need me to finish you. You're finishing yourself. Reid's face twisted. Then why are you here? To watch, I said. To make sure you know someone saw. That's all victims really want. Acknowledgement. You saw me, used me, hurt the person I loved because it was convenient. I wanted you to know I saw it happen, and I saw you fall. I haven't fallen. You're standing on a pier during a nor'easter, talking to the husband you screwed over, holding a briefcase full of evidence you can't decide whether to destroy. Reid, you fell 3 days ago. You just didn't hit bottom yet. He stared at me. Then he did something unexpected. He laughed. Real laughter, unhinged and true. You're right, he said. God, you're absolutely right. He opened the briefcase. Papers whipped out immediately, snatched by the wind. Invoices, spreadsheets, ledgers, all of it scattering into the storm like confetti. I am done. And you know what? It feels... He never finished. A wave hit the pier, bigger than the rest, and the planks beneath him shifted. He stumbled, caught himself, briefcase flying from his hands. It hit the water. Sank immediately, taking his careful records with it. Reid watched it go. Then he looked at me, soaked and small. Now what? Now you walk back, face corporate, face the investigation, face the fact that you built everything on other people's pain, and it finally caught up. And you? I go home, I said, and figure out who I am when I'm not angry. I turned and walked back down the pier. Behind me, Reid called out, Pike! I stopped, didn't turn. Thank you. For what? For not letting me disappear, for making sure someone remembered. I didn't answer, just kept walking. By the time I reached solid ground, a small crowd had gathered, phones out, filming Reid standing alone at the end of the pier. The storm had driven them from shelter the same way it had driven me. In Greymarsh, spectacle trumped safety every time. Someone in the crowd recognized me, started clapping, others joined. Applause, thin against the wind but unmistakable. I didn't acknowledge it, didn't wave, didn't smile. I got in my Subaru and drove home through streets still running with water. The house was empty. Mara's things were gone, packed into her Civic, and driven to her mother's place 3 towns over. The picture walls I'd created were bare now, hooks empty, spaces clean. I sat in my office, pulled up my email. Corporate compliance had sent a formal request for testimony. The State Insurance Fraud Division wanted a statement. The community forum had 17 new threads about Reid, Tate, and Sandpiper. I closed the laptop. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. I was the anonymous account, the vendor rental photo. Figured you'd want to know. Priya. I smiled. First time in days. Then I did something I hadn't done since this whole nightmare started. I opened my client list. Real work, real problems. Someone's laptop with a virus, someone's network dropping packets. Simple, fixable, contained. I picked up the phone. Called the first client on the list. Hi, this is Evan Pike. I'm calling to schedule a follow-up on your system maintenance. Normal. Professional. The voice of someone who hadn't just torn 3 lives apart and felt nothing about it. But as I talked, explaining firewall updates and backup protocols, I caught my reflection in the dark window. The man looking back wasn't the person I'd been 3 weeks ago, wasn't the reliable tech, the patient husband, the guy who fixed things quietly and went home satisfied. This person was harder, colder. Someone who'd learned that revenge doesn't heal anything, it just redistributes the pain. I finished the call, made 3 more. By midnight, I had a full schedule for the next week. Outside, the storm finally broke. Silence rushed in, sudden and complete. Greymarsh would wake up to damage and debris, but it would wake up. Towns like this always did. I turned off my office light, locked the door, walked through my empty house to the empty bedroom where I'd sleep alone. Tomorrow, corporate would start their audit. Tate would probably flee town. Mara would begin rebuilding her life, separate from mine. Reid would face whatever consequences a man like him actually faced, which was probably less than he deserved, but more than he expected. And me? I'd keep fixing computers, keep living in this wind-gnarled town, keep being the guy people called when their systems crashed. But I'd also keep the backups, the evidence, the insurance, because I'd learned the most important lesson. In a world where people use you, being useful isn't enough. You have to be willing to bite back. I lay down in the dark and closed my eyes. No satisfaction, no peace, just the hollow certainty that I'd won a war I'd never wanted to fight, and the victory tasted like nothing at all. Somewhere in the house, a pipe dripped. Storm damage, probably. Something else to fix. Always something else to fix.